We're looking at quadratic trinomials, okay? So first, let's look at how we can identify a quadratic trinomial, okay? So x squared, okay, plus 7x plus 10 is an example of a quadratic trinomial. Now, why is this a quadratic trinomial? It is a quadratic trinomial because number one, it has three terms. So first term, second term, third term. Okay. Or you can say first term, second term, third term. All right. That is the first characteristics, okay, of a quadratic trinomial. Okay. And the second thing is that it has the highest power or the highest exponent being 2. So you can see the highest exponent here is 2. Okay. All right. Now let's look at the names of each term for the terms, okay? Now this one is known as the quadratic term, okay? Now this one is known as, okay, the linear term. And then 10 is known as the constant term. All right, now that we know the names for the terms, let's look at how we can solve it, okay? All right, so we have x squared plus 7x plus 10, okay? This is what we have. Now the first thing we do is to multiply 10 by the coefficient of x squared, okay? So there's a number here, and that number is 1, but it's not written, okay? So what we do first is to multiply 10 by that one, and that gives us 10. All right, now when we get 10, okay, the next thing we do is to look for numbers that we can multiply to get 10, okay? So first, we are going to multiply this 10 by the coefficient of x squared, which is 1, and then when we do that, we get 10. Now we are going to look for numbers that we can multiply and get 10. So 10 times 1 will give us 10. Okay. All right. 5 times 2 will also give us 10. Now, before we select any of these numbers you've stated, we are going to look at the linear term. Now, the linear term here is 7x. So we are going to look at, okay, the numbers that we have stated. That is 10 times 1 equals 10, and 5 times 2 equals 10. We are going to look at the one that can give us 7. Now, if you look at 10 times 1, whether you add 10 times 1, whether you add 10 plus 1 or you subtract 1 from 10, you cannot get 7. Okay? Now, when you look at the second one, when you add 5 plus 2, you can get 7. Therefore, we are going to choose this. Okay? Because 5 plus 2 can give us 7, which is equivalent to the linear term. Okay? So we are going to use 5 and 2. Now, when we are using 5 and 2 to represent 7x. Therefore, okay, therefore, we are going to use 5x and 2x because we cannot state, we can't write just 2 there, or we can't write just 5 there, okay? So that's what we have. All right, so our equation becomes x squared plus 5x plus 2x plus 10. All right, so now we have 4 terms. Now let's factorize. So we bring the common ones out. So here we bring x out. We are left with x, okay? So you have x plus 5. Now, here, what is common here? Now let's do it this way. Now, x squared is the same as x times x, okay? Plus, here we have 5x, plus here is 2x. Now, 10 is the same as 5 times 2. All right, so let's factorize. Now, let's bring the common ones out. So we say x is here. You can see x here, you can see x here. So bring the x out. So you have brought x out. So what we are left here is x. What we are left here is 5. Okay. All right. Now what can you see here and see here? What you can see there and see here is 2. So the 2 comes out. We are left with x plus 5. All right, now when solving a quadratic trinomial, you should always get to a point where you have this bracket being equal to this bracket, okay? Now at this point, we are going to choose one of the brackets. So you have x plus 5, and then we are also going to choose, okay, this x here and this plus 2. So you're going to have x plus 2, and this gives us a binomial expression. All right, so when you multiply this binomial, you should get our question, which is x squared plus 7x plus 10. Now let's look at another example of a quadratic trinomial. Now let's assume we are given 2x squared minus 5x plus 3.